Hey there, Jeremy here with Empath X. I'm excited to drop in with you guys today and talk about the idea of presence, present awareness, being present with something, an exploration of a feeling or an experience, and people pleasing. So I'm going to talk about that experience of the ability of being present with something, the modes of that, and then also the nervous system orientation that people pleasing is. So with the concepts that we understand around it, it's an ability, right? The space to feel into your feelings, that we all have different levels of ability. So when we're coming into like a disagreement with a spouse or a family member, that there's meaning in between these things. There's stakes on the table, right? There's things that matter to both sides of this experience. And we don't always have that same awareness or that ability to be present with something. And what's more, even if we do have that ability, oftentimes, like, are we in that position of where I'm ready and resourced? Or is it a surprise that's happening to us? Like, that awareness right there is such a powerful first step of the process that I use and that I go through personally to come into presence with something, is not resisting what is. That to me is the first thing that is very common right now, is I don't like this and I want it to stop. So I automatically resist it. And in partner relationships, in work relationships, family dynamics, that oftentimes just becomes this automatic shutdown and becomes resistances, and then it just goes from there. And we have the stories that we have a tendency to gravitate into being something in a defensive posture in anticipation of that. We don't want to make ourselves vulnerable, right? We've learned how to do this with this person, and all that's our imprints from our past, not in this present moment right here. And in this present moment right here, the idea of being present with it is just to notice that. Am I lost to this? Am I projecting something? Is this person even aware? Am I breathing into my belly, or am I in tension and anticipating an impact of some decision or something being said, or hurt or harm or loss of something, right? Maybe I'm trying to perpetuate something that I like. All of that is an invitation to be present with whatever that is in here. And then when I feel like I'm in awareness, or I'm present with myself, I can be more open and honest with the people that I'm with, that I'm having this experience. And I can share what I'm experiencing without judgment or as much attachment, right? Just recognizing that I have something I want here and I'm not so clear about it. And here's where I'm at right so far. Like, that communicates really differently in those exchanges than if you're in a lock-in and you know what they're doing and you know what's happening and you know all those sorts of fixed states. And so that leads into the nervous system, which that practice in itself of just coming into awareness of what you're experiencing is huge. That's the foundation of all of these things, coming into the mode of being the observer of your own, what's in here and the experience that's happening out here that's flowing into your field. And then the idea of people pleasing is a term that they've used, they call fawning, is a recently, I think 20, 30 years ago, discovered nervous system response. The fight, flight, and freeze are the three that most of us talk about, but this fawning one is something that's starting to come into our awareness more, and how we can come into, as in that modality, especially as empaths, we can become people pleasers. This is why there's a tendencies for empaths to be in relationships and exchanges energetically with narcissists, right? Both are just labels for an experience that people emote, or that they're in the being of, right? And all of its energy, all of it is the ability to be present with the role. So to say that you're an empath, that for me to say that I'm an empath is a label that I'm putting on myself. I really get to be in each moment whatever I want to be. And so this idea of people pleasing is really profound, because it goes back to the heritage, the ancestry, the generational inheritance in the way that our genetics express themselves, or the epigenetics, and our regulation of this ability, how I orient to this sympathetic nerve tone as I'm navigating my field. So an easy one is to think about in a relationship where someone has something that the other person wants. A simple, easy one is one person wants sex and the other person doesn't want sex. And how we fit into these ways of trying to please the other person rather than being honest and open about my experience and then discovering what's in that exchange for us. Or another easy one is a boss-worker dynamic, right? Where the worker wants to earn this, the right to move up in the company, and they want to get the favorable example. So they play all these politics, and that's where we get into that space of people pleasing, to be two-faced, or those sorts of exchanges. And the question really about people pleasing is about authenticity, because people pleasing in itself is not wrong or bad. Just like fight or flight or freeze is not bad. Maybe that's just the moment the body is giving you this experience because it was what needs to be happened. It's what needs to happen. But we can train through those situations to go. That's a lot of the like military and really deep modalities of mysticism get into, is all of these spaces of self-discipline to have a certain outcome, right? Or a practice that begets that, which is what we're talking about here. So in the sense of self-discipline is to come into the recognition of being present with myself and recognize that, oh, I really want to please this person. And so for me, the practice that has been helpful for me with the presence with my own people pleasing is just a simple statement of honesty to myself and then to the other is, I like you, right? This sense of like, I'm feeling this feeling of wanting to please you, right? I'm feeling this thing of like this, it's for me, I feel it in my chest and I get vocal. Like I find myself, wanting to be intelligent or funny or impress someone, all those pretty common human experiences, but just coming into that presence with, oh, I notice this. I don't have to make it wrong or bad, but I get to be honest with it and transparent. Is like, hey, I'm having the experience of being grateful for your company, or finding you really attractive, or I really like you. Just simple little kid stuff, but that's vulnerable and transparent. And that is the practice, right? How I am able to identify being present with myself in order to show up with someone else, because maybe that person has not earned the right to have access to me or my attention or my energy or even relate to me. But if I don't have that ability to be present with myself, I'll let them in, or I'm not even aware of it. I'm blind to it. It's invisible to me. So I hope that these spaces are helpful and that these practices and allegories are impactful, and hope that my intention is for integration into our daily lives. So if you have any questions or specifics, please comment, or if this is resonating, please give me a high five, thumbs up, something like that in the comments. Subscribe. Would love to have you guys locked in here more. Also, this beautiful land that I'm at here in Dripping Springs, west of Austin, Texas, we're doing all sorts of activations, experiences, immersions, camping down in here, and so some beautiful things to come. And lastly is that I have my community. So if you're interested in community and you've hung out this far, please comment that or message me and we'll get you plugged into the online community. So much love, so many blessings.